I want to welcome everybody to our regular City Council meeting, City of Sueur, dated Monday, January 13, 2025. At this time, I call the meeting to order. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Council members, you were all presented with your packets over the weekend. You received it electronically also. Hopefully you had some time to look it over, reach out to our city administrator with any questions. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
So moved.
Thank you, Councilmember Sullivan.
Second.
Seconded, Councilmember Williams. Any other discussion, comments, concerns? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? The ayes have it. Moving on to consent agenda. I don't think we have anybody signed up for the consent agenda. Did anybody notice? I don't. Oh, I'm thinking public comment. I'm sorry. Consent agenda. Mr. Roby, you want to go over that with us?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Tonight's consent agenda consists of 4 items. The first is approval of City Council minutes from the regular meeting on December 23rd, 2024. Also approval of disbursements through today. Included in those disbursements are a number of items over $25,000, which is not unusual given several of the projects that we have running right now and this debt service payments that come due at the beginning of the year. First is to MMPA for December 2024 purchase power, $526,945.76. Next to U.S. Bank, the debt service on the 2021 A bonds, $506,031.25. To U.S. Bank, again, 2020 B debt service payment of $381,010. Next to Kinetic Leasing, our 2026 Kinetic lease payoff that was approved previously by City Council, $271,117. To Granby Pumping and Application, our Mayo Park flood bypass pumping. This is the large invoice that we've been expecting for some months now from Granby, who conducted all of our bypass pumping at Mayo Park lift station last spring, $221,017. To Minnesota Mechanical Solutions, the blower project pay application number 1, $183,940.90. To Cornerstone Bank for our 2022 B debt service, $99,995.75. To Altitude Energy, our Main Street substation project pay application number 5, $52,264.15. Minnesota Department of Revenue, our city sales tax for December 2024, $40,559. To Ballman Roofing and Coating, roof replacement on Building C at the wastewater treatment facility that was approved as part of the 2024 capital improvement plan, $30,833.30. And finally, again, to Cornerstone Bank 2023 A debt service payment, $25,444. Then item C is the approval of the wastewater blower improvements project payment application number 1. And finally, approval of Main Street substation payment application number 5.
Thank you, Mr. Roby, with that presentation of our consent agenda for tonight. Does anybody have any questions regarding any of these items? If not, I will entertain a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda. Thank you, Councilmember Schlegel. Second. Councilmember Sullivan seconded. Any other discussion, comments, concerns? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those, there's no nays. With that said, we have approval on the consent agenda. Moving on to public comment now. I don't think we have anybody signed up for public comment tonight, so I think we'll bypass that. He's going to visit with us about the scouting part, but thank you, Councilmember Williams. Moving on to City Administrator update, Mr. Roby.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. City staff have been working with the developers of the Ridge Road housing development. They have submitted their final plat. As you recall, when the pre-plat approval was approved by City Council in December, the developers were given 1 year to submit their final plat application. They have submitted their final plat application. It's in staff review right now. We expect right now that at the January 27th meeting of City Council, we will bring back the final plats approval recommendation to City Council along with the development agreement with the developers. Planning Commission, I suspect Councilmember Schluter will mention this, so I won't steal his thunder. We have a meeting this week with the buyers of the Park Elementary property to discuss the next steps and their future plans for the project. We're in the process of finalizing and achieving state approval for the plans for the 2025 street utility project, North 4th project. Final plans have been submitted to the state of Minnesota. Those require state approval because there is an LRIP grant associated with that project. So once we get approval back from the state, then we'll be prepared to go out for bid for that project. We have a meeting with Minnesota State University Mankato Aviation later this week. Community members may note that there are a lot of MSU decaled planes flying in and out of the airport and have been over the last couple of years. So North Star Aviation, which operates the aviation program for MSU, likes to utilize some of the outlying regional, local, and municipal airports for training because we're not quite as big or busy as the Mankato Airport. So we have a meeting to touch base with them later this week. RPAC met last week for their quarterly meeting. Just a note, in observance of Martin Luther King Jr. Day, next Monday, January 20th, which is a federal holiday, City Hall and major city operations will be closed. City Council's next regular meeting will be Monday, January 27th. And that's my update for tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Roby. Anybody have any questions regarding our city administrator's update? If not, we'll move into the regular agenda and we'll begin with item 7A, the second final reading ordinance 613, fee schedule. Mr. Roby.
As council will recall, at the December 23rd, 2024 meeting, City Council waived the first reading of Ordinance 613. Ordinance 613 would establish the city fee schedule, which consists of the governmental fee schedule and the building department fee schedule. Historically, City Council has adopted these via resolution, though it is recommended for state statute that that such fees be adopted via ordinance. So the second and final reading is before City Council tonight. There have been some minor modifications following the first reading. The first was the addition of some wastewater overage fees, which were calculated earlier this month, and a cleanup fee that was added at the septic dump station down at the wastewater treatment facility in the event that we have a spill when someone is dropping off septic or bulk septic at the wastewater treatment facility. And then additionally, some language was added to the ordinance to allow the fees to be retroactive to January 1st, 2025, which will be consistent with our historic fee schedules, which are all run on a calendar basis. I'll take any questions if there are any.
Anybody? Councilmember Smith, I kind of have an unwritten rule. If somebody thinks it's necessary to read the whole ordinance, I let the person who thinks it's necessary read it. So with that said, I will entertain a motion for somebody to read that ordinance or waive it, or waive the reading.
I'll make a motion to waive the second reading.
Thank you, Councilmember Sullivan. Second by Councilmember Schluter. Any other comments, concerns? If not, all those in favor? Anybody opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. Moving on to item 7B, resolution R 2025-004, summary publication of ordinance 613. Mr. Roby.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As council may recall, in order for an ordinance to be enacted, ultimately needs to be published in the official newspaper of the city. Per state statute, the city council may choose to adopt a resolution that summarizes the ordinance that would save us the requirement to publish the entirety of the ordinance. Since this ordinance is several pages long, the recommendation from staff is that city council would consider a resolution that provides a summary of the ordinance, and then the summary itself would be published in the official newspaper of the city. And the resolution R 2025-004 outlines the summary of the publication.
Thank you, Mr. Roby. And that entire publication is online. Is it
Correct, yeah, correct. So the ordinance itself is available in paper form at City Hall. It's available online in City Council packet. And then once it's been published, it will be sent off to American Legal to be published as part of the city code online.
Thank you. Anybody else have any questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adopt resolution R 2025-004 approving summary publication of ordinance 613.
So moved.
Thank you, Councilmember Williams.
Second.
Councilmember Sullivan seconded. All those, any other comments, concerns? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? The ayes have it. Moving on to item 7C, resolution R 2025-005, rate establishment for the Agri-Pure pre-treatment industrial discharge. Mr. Roby.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Another annual action that we request City Council take is the establishment of the pretreatment industrial wastewater rates for Agri-Pure. Agri-Pure exists, has relationship with the city that's considered a significant industrial user. The city has an agreement going back to 2014 with the company on how to manage its wastewater pretreatment wastewater discharge into the wastewater treatment facility. And so annually, as part of the utility rate process, city staff calculate what the next year's rates will be for Agri-Pure's industrial pretreatment discharge. The rates that are published and are shared with Agri-Pure, which have been shared with the company, consist of the flow per 1,000 gallons, the CBOD per pound per day, total suspended solids per pound per day, and total phosphorus per pound per day. And then there are overage fees as well, and days when those limits are exceeded. So the limits are contractual per the agreement that we have with Agri-Pure. So anytime they exceed those on a daily basis, there's an increased charge. The rates are calculated based upon the agreement itself using prior year's utilization from Agri-Pure and the current year budget. Take any questions.
Mr. Roby, all these new rates have been transparent, pretty clear with Agri-Pure.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments, concerns?
How often do they buy them? The phosphorus sulfur, do you know?
I can get that information to you.
Anybody else? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adopt resolution R 2025-005 approving the rates for Agri-Pure pretreatment industrial discharge as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Councilmember Sullivan.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Schlegel. Any other comments, concerns? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? The ayes have it. Lastly, agenda item 7D, Scouts lock-in kind donation. Mr. Roby, you want to explain this to us?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and Mr. Ben Beeler is here today on behalf of the local scout troop. So annually, the troop hosts a lock-in hosted at the community center. This has been going on for a number of years now. And I'll let, maybe if it's okay with you, invite Mr. Beeler up to talk about what they do at the lock-in and successes they've had in the past. But the request tonight is to waive the lock-in fee and associated fees for the 2025 lock-in.
Thank you. Mr. Brewer, tell us about your evening with the lock-in.
So this local scout troop, we usually host this every year and we invite a bunch of other troops. And it's just mostly a night of fun and fellowship with our local troops. This is one of the bigger buildings that we can host this in the area for the size we like to get, which is typically about 50 scouts, I'd say. I think one time, this was about 2019, we had about 90, I believe. But it's just a good way for us to build connections with other troops, along with getting to know our other troops, you know. So then we can eventually do like campouts with them.
Right. So it's a good networking evening and a night of fun for the scouts. How many adults usually come, do you know?
We require at least 2 adults from each troop. Some bring upwards of 4, I'd say.
And how many troops will be there?
We typically invite just our nearby ones, so like St. Peter, Belle Plaine, Montgomery. Trying to think, since I know some troops have folded since the last time we've had our lock-in.
That's too bad.
Yeah,
Well, wonderful. And again, what night is this? I know you told us.
February 28th,
Yeah.
overnight into March 1st.
Well, I want to wish you luck with that evening. I'm sure you guys will have a lot of fun. So anybody else have any questions? Thank you, Ben. I appreciate your presentation.
thank you for having me.
Yeah. With that said, I will entertain a motion at this time to approve the in-kind donation as proposed for the Scouts.
So moved.
Thank you, Councilmember Sullivan.
Second.
Councilmember Williams seconded. Any other discussion, comments, concerns? If not, all those in favor? Anybody opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. Lastly, on to reports and items of appreciation. Council members, this is your opportunity to share what's going on in the community, your opportunity to share what's going on with your commissions. And as always, we start with Councilmember Huntington, who's not here tonight. Takes us on to Councilmember Nelson, absent. Councilmember Schleter.
I attended a Region 9 full board meeting on Wednesday, the 8th, and a planning commission meeting on Thursday, the 9th. The planning commission meeting, we reappointed members Newell Krogman and Terry Johnson, and they were sworn in. And then Newell Krogman and Chris Roeder were reelected as chair and vice chair. They also recommended rezoning of the EDA 169 land for the EDA's request. And that will be coming up at a future council meeting. That's it.
Thank you. Councilmember Smith, if there's anything you want to share?
I'm just excited to be here. I'm learning a lot. Joe's been very helpful, helping me understand the processes, and I appreciate that. And again, I'm just happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. We enjoy your presence also. Moving on to Councilmember Sullivan.
I have nothing tonight.
Nothing tonight. Councilmember Williams.
I attended the RPAC meeting and was pleased to see that there's constant thought process around ways to increase revenue. So she's coming up with different ways to do that, and it does increase year after year. So there's making progress. Then next week is the HRA, and last I checked, the HRA is completely full. So it's exciting. So it hasn't been full for a long time.
Thank you. Appreciate your report. I have nothing to report other than we do have our next meeting on the 27th, is it, Mr. Roby? And I'm looking forward to seeing you all then. So with that, I will entertain a motion to dismiss this meeting. So moved. Thank you. All those in favor?
All right.